All right, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 is directed by David Yates, who's been doing the series since Order of the Phoenix, and he's got kind of the biggest slice of the pie in this series. He's done 4 of the 8 movies, or 7 if you, I don't know, however you want to look at it. I kind of consider it 8 movies. And basically what this one is about is it's just wrapping it all up. We've gone how many years with these kids? Well,
too long, I don't know.
7 or something like that movie years, and something like literally 12 years watching them grow up in these movies. And this is about the final confrontation between Voldemort and Harry. Harry's finding the last of the Horcruxes to destroy Voldemort, because of the Horcruxes are the things that keep him alive. And the school is being under attack by the Death Eaters, and it is, it's a big clash of the good guys and the bad guys, and a lot of war scenes.
I like the explanation, very expletive. They do this.
Expressive.
Yes, very.
Expressive. I like the movie a lot. I want to say this might be the most satisfying blockbuster I've seen this summer. However, if you have not been on board all 12 years of this stuff, this will mean nothing to you. This will make no sense to you. Of course, that's kind of superfluous to say, really, because everyone's seen these movies, whether they wanted to or not. They've probably at least seen a handful of these movies. So, yes, of course, you have to have at least seen the last 4 or 5 of these movies to understand anything that's going on. And even sometimes, if you're not a reader of the books, as I am not, there are certain details, certain little things where you're like, okay, I guess I kind of get that, but you sort of let it go because the movie's so entertaining. There's a lot of action, unlike 7.1 that came out last year, which I thought was a little slow. This one really cuts to the chase. There's a lot of action scenes, and pretty much going from set piece to set piece, it satisfies in that way. It is originally a kids franchise. I wouldn't say really so much anymore. This one, as David Yates has taken the series, is considerably dark. There's a pretty big body count of evil wizards and good wizards alike. And I feel like that final confrontation does pay off, and when the movie was over, I actually did kind of feel something, like, outwardly about this series, about how this, well, first of all, it's astonishing that a series this big and this long with this many movies hasn't just completely collapsed by the 4th movie. Usually in any kind of series that runs this long, the quality just gets less and less, law of diminishing returns.
Plain and simple, it's money. That's what it comes down to. It's
money, but it's also impressive that eight movies are still, most of which, I think the first 2 are actually my least favorite, most of which are pretty good. And that in and of itself is impressive, that they can be both blockbuster entertaining and fairly quality movies. So I give the movie an A-.
I'm going to turn off probably 80% of our audience right now, because even though there's only 8 people, but what I'm going to say is that I actually thought that it was a little anticlimactic. Oh my gosh. And the reason why is because I didn't really feel that payoff. I didn't feel that at the end. I was kind of like, that's it? That's all that it did? I haven't been watching these movies since the start. I haven't been necessarily that interested in them. But recently, my wife's really into them, so I watched all the movies with her. And you know what? All the other David Yates ones I thought were better. This one in general, it kind of left me kind of just going, okay. The epilogue scene, which the old versions of themselves didn't really look old to me. I thought it was just kind of, I didn't mind the ending, that epilogue, but
I felt that the epilogue was a little tacked on, but I didn't have a problem with it.
The quiet moments that he intervenes into it kind of slow it to me, kind of stop the momentum. And also they don't really, my complaint in general is they they don't really, where a movie can expand, where a book can't, it didn't do that. All it did was, well, we have to fit in everything we can at the last second, and we have to do this, this, and this. And so I felt it was anticlimactic, and that they didn't really hit some of the marks they should have. I thought the momentum was brought down by the Voldemort baby, and that whole scene was very slow and just kind of dragged to me. And I liked 7 Part 1. 7 Part 1 is probably my second favorite of all the movies. And it is slow, and it doesn't really have that much action, I agree.
Yeah.
But this film to me just seems like when it's rushed, it's too rushed. And the first part of the film I did enjoy. The snake coming and all that part. I liked Voldemort. I did. I really dug.
Well, Ray Fiennes.
That's how he really looks. I know. But
how we see him in interviews with the nose and everything, that's not Ray Fiennes. He's wearing a mask. He's actually Voldemort.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was more interested by those characters, and I was more interested by the grown-up characters in general throughout. The films.
Well, a lot of those we've been watching these as adults, whereas the kids have grown up with the movies as kids.
Right.
I will agree that there is some off-screen battle and some off-screen death where, we kind of come back into the wreckage and you see the after effects, and I wish that some of that had been shown. This is actually, weirdly enough, one of the shorter movies, and I felt like it probably might have benefited from being one of the longer ones.
Well, they seem to worry so much. I mean, they seem to worry so much about the readers and that it won't be an exact translation and this kind of thing. And so they kind of just skip those little things that they could expand. Like Professor Lupin, I think it is.
Yeah.
They could have shown the death of them. They could have made a big spectacle out of it and gave it more momentum. But instead, they cut away. And I'm sorry, but I've heard some people like the Voldemort baby in the book and some people didn't. That's what I've heard. In the movie, I was just really like, that's kind of gross. What are they doing? And I'm a fan of like horror movies and, some of the grosser stuff. And so I was kind of like, what the heck are they doing here?
Well, okay, this is totally esoteric unless you've seen the movie, so we're going to assume that you have. I didn't have a problem with that scene. I was a little confused about it. I kind of thought that's one of those things, like I said, like I'm sure the book probably explains it better than the movie does. But in general, I thought this movie was a blast.
Well, I get that he's immature and blah, 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 and he didn't grow to his full potential, that kind of those. But I'm just more like, cinematically, it just kind of looks funny.
What grade did you give it?
I gave it probably a C-. No, C+. Sorry, wrong side. C+.
All right. Why don't we move on to...
Okay.